Today, on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, CISA names a chief AI officer, and GSA hosts an AI hackathon. It's Friday, August 2nd, 2024. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. Here are today's top headlines. Lisa Einstein, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency's senior advisor for artificial intelligence, has been tapped to serve as the agency's first chief AI officer. A Stanford and Princeton graduate who joined CISA in 2022 as executive director of its Cybersecurity Advisory Committee, Einstein will assume the CAIO role at a time when the agency is attempting to leverage the technology to advance cyber defenses and more effectively support critical infrastructure owners and operators. CISA Director Jen Easterly said in a statement that Einstein has been central to the agency's efforts to understand and respond to rapid advancements in AI over the past 2 years. Easterly called Einstein an inspirational leader who has brought together colleagues across the agency around a clear and impactful vision, adding that she could not be more thrilled to have her take on the important new role, which will help CISA continue to build AI expertise into the fabric of the agency and ensure it is equipped to effectively leverage the power of AI well into the future. CISA's AI inventory currently lists a dozen use cases, many of which use machine learning and natural language processing technologies. The agency's automated indicator sharing, for example, processes real-time machine-readable cyber threat indicators and defensive measures and facilitates the sharing of that data with other agencies. The agency also uses AI to aid its cyber incident reporting processes, to cull cyber threat intelligence feeds, and to process data received through multiple vulnerability channels. Under Einstein's watch at CISA, the cyber agency has released an AI roadmap, piloted AI-enabled vulnerability detection, as called out in the White House's AI executive order, and led a tabletop AI cybersecurity exercise that convened 50 AI experts from 15 companies and many international cyber defense agencies. In other news, the General Services Administration hosted an AI hackathon earlier this week, a 3-city competition that saw public and private sector participants attempt to hack federal agency websites and build out solutions for prizes. FedScoop was on site during the hackathon at the GSA headquarters. There were also portions of the event held in Atlanta and New York City, and spoke to GSA leaders including Administrator Robin Carnahan, CIO David Shive, and Chief Data and AI Officer Zach Whitman about the importance of open collaboration around AI. Whitman said that for the hackathon, the agency had unblocked certain AI tools from its network, including OpenAI's ChatGPT, to ensure access for participants. The GSA offered hackers the ability to use open source products and encourage them to run stuff locally wherever they can. If participants were blocked from a tool, the agency found a workaround. David Shive told reporters during the event that while the hackathon felt like, quote, it's using open tooling, the work being done was in a tightly controlled sandbox, which Whitman characterized as a segmented infrastructure, so there would be no privacy concerns or agency risks. Protecting data and privacy were top priorities, Shive said, explaining that, quote, we build those walls around what we're doing. We want to be thoughtful about risk. We're risk managers first here. But then we also know that our agency partners are watching this very closely, and they have an expectation that we're going to be creating the playbooks to be able to drive innovation and emerging technologies across the larger federal enterprise. In light of AI's emergence not only in the public space, but also in government uses, Whitman told FedScoop that the agency's mindset is, quote, that these tools are just something that are now becoming the norm. The GSA's policy, which was implemented about a year ago, allows agency staff to apply to use AI tools. After an individual requests a tool, a security team will unblock platforms if it is cleared to be safe to use, but with guardrails. Part of those guardrails include using public information with the tool and using AI for non-sensitive use cases. However, they currently exclude internal work products. Whitman noted that, quote, we don't have the clearance there yet. Following the release of President Joe Biden's AI executive order and the Office of Management and Budget's guidance on AI, Whitman said the agency now has a permanent directive where anyone at GSA can apply to use generative AI tools for non-sensitive use cases. Whitman reported that the agency expanded the directive to include applications for procurement use cases, research and development, and production workflow. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you've already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back next week with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.